The gentleman has backed out, and we have the next candidate, and we are planning on having a special meeting on May 31st at 6:30. You'll have a copy of his resume beforehand, and we'll have an opportunity to meet and greet and decide what direction we're going to go in. That's May 31st at 6:30. So for those keeping score at home, the closed session is postponed for tonight. Approval of minutes for the regular meeting of April 19th and May 3rd, 2017, and the bid minutes for the DPW truck wash opened on May 11th, 2017. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Made by Sitting, seconded by Mealy. Any discussion?
Yes, John. There were some corrections that I had given to our clerk, and as far as I know, they've been made. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, as amended?
As amended, please.
You got it. Roll call?
Sitting,
Yes.
Mealy,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
Lane,
Yes.
Bennett,
Yes.
Rucola.
Yes. Public comment. I will now open the meeting to the public. If anyone desires to be heard, please raise your hand to be recognized. Come forward to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Miss, would you like to say anything? You're good? Seeing no one, I entertain a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
Second.
Made by Bennett, seconded by, was that Lane down there?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Adoption of ordinances. Water utility bond ordinance number 218617. Water utility bond ordinance providing for painting and other specified improvements to the Garfield Hill and Mary Street water tanks as herein and hereafter described, all owned by the Borough of Hawthorne in the County of Passaic, New Jersey, appropriating $1,150,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of bonds or notes of the borough for financing the same. Public hearing. I will now open the meeting to the public. If anyone desires to be heard regarding ordinance number 218617, please raise your hand to be recognized. Come forward to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Anyone wish to be heard? Seeing no one, I entertain a motion that the public hearing on this ordinance be closed, and that it be resolved this ordinance was posted on the bulletin board on which public notices are customarily posted, published in the Hawthorne Press, and available on the borough website. Copies of said ordinance were made available to the general public. Now therefore be resolved that this ordinance be adopted, and the clerk is authorized to advertise the same according to law. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Made by Bennett, seconded by Mealy. Any discussion?
John,
Yes, Dominic?
somebody brought to my attention, they said, oh, you're spending all this money for a water tank. I want people to know we're refurbishing it, inside and outside, not just painting the water tank.
And we don't
Correct.
have much of a choice.
We don't have much of a choice,
We're required to do
exactly.
it.
Correct. It's
Okay.
our water system, and I believe Frank asked the question of what the replacement of the water tank would be. I believe it was in the $6 million range, so
This is cheapest way.
this is the most fiscally responsible way.
Thank you,
And
John.
Council President, I would like to say, this money, this ordinance will be repaid with water utility revenues, and it's already built into our rate structure, so this is, we're not looking at something that is going to blow the budget for the water utility.
Correct. Very good, Eric. Any other discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Bennett,
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Mealy.
Yes.
Sitting.
Yes.
Rucola.
Yes. Bond ordinance 218717, bond ordinance providing for the purchase of a dump truck and brine applicator in and by the Borough of Hawthorne in the County of Passaic, New Jersey, appropriating $250,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of bonds or notes of the borough in the amount of $237,500 for financing the same. Public hearing. I will now open the meeting to the public. If anyone desires to be heard regarding ordinance 218717, please raise your hand to be recognized. Come forward to the microphone. State your name and address for the record. Anyone wish to be heard? Seeing no one, I entertain a motion that the public hearing on this ordinance be closed, and that it be resolved that this ordinance was posted on the bulletin board on which public notices are customarily posted, published in the Hawthorne Press, and available on the borough website. Copies of said ordinance were made available to the general public. Now therefore be it resolved this ordinance be adopted, and the clerk is authorized to advertise the same according to law. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Made by Mealy, seconded by Lane. Any discussion? Roll call.
Sitting.
Yes.
Mealy.
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Bennett.
Yes.
Rucola.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Old business. John, we'll start down your end.
Thank you. Eric, a while ago, I had spoken to you with regard to the oxygen door at the ambulance corps, the outside door. You can't even open it now. Please, I mean, that's the only way that the ambulance corps gets oxygen deliveries.
Right, I understand.
Thank you.
Anything else, John?
That's all.
Okay. Dominic?
No.
Bruce?
No.
Frank?
Nope.
Gary?
Nothing.
All right. We'll go to new business. Gary, we'll start down your end.
Just one thing, are they finished on Central Ave now?
I don't think so. There were some issues with interference with the water services that I think will be resolved before they are finished there.
Because they've had that street closed almost 2 weeks now. There's got to be some better planning. There's businesses there. I don't know how they're staying open.
The problem was they had trouble locating where they had to tie in the sewer and the sanitary and the stormwater line, and so that took that extra time. And then they ran into this conflict with the water services, and that's still being addressed.
That's all has to do with the apartment houses over there?
Yes.
Are those guys getting, those businesses getting reimbursed for anything with people there? I mean, you've been closed for 2 weeks, basically.
Yeah, well, you can get through there, you can walk, you can park a block, half a block away.
Yeah.
And I think until they got to, I mean, the only business is Lakeview, I guess, right?
No, the deli, too.
Corner of Deli, getting from Forest.
They're kind of diverting you from Forest when you come from Lincoln.
I know Lakeview was, you could get through it, local traffic, until they got to Lakeview, then it was closed.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, it wasn't closed the entire 2 weeks to Lakeview, that's for sure. So,
That's all I have.
all right, Frank?
Yes. Mayor, since the county clearly has ignored our multiple objections to the turf field in Gothelbrook Park, would you consider sending a letter to them stating that the Hawthorne Police Department will no longer respond to calls in their park? I know we often call the Sheriff's Department for them to respond to their property, and there's never anyone there, so we do it out of doing the right thing. But obviously, they're not working with us. And also a similar letter to the state stating that we patrol 208 and respond to calls on the state highway. We've talked about that one for many years, how much of a burden it is. Maybe now's the time to say enough is enough. If you don't want to work with us, then we'll go our separate way.
Well, I don't even know if you need a letter. That would just become our protocol in the police department.
Well, I think it's fair to put them on notice that
If
we're
it's
not
a-
going to respond.
If it's a non-emergency,
Right, I
You
mean,
know.
the one thing you have to understand, that occasionally that call in the park is a Hawthorne resident who needs assistance, so I would hate to say we're never going into the park because we'd be denying our own residents services, but I think a letter both to the, state police and the county sheriff saying, we're handling an unfair burden on our police department.
Then ask for reimbursement then, and let them send a
And
letter
I-
stating we're not going to help you there either.
We'll investigate what our alternatives are to try and we're going to let them know our unhappiness in several ways. This may just be one of them.
Seems like it should be a two-way street, but it hasn't been that way for a while.
No, sir.
Even with the equalization of how they tax so-called Republican towns versus none.
Yep.
but you have seen a lot of the county police lately in town. I've seen a big difference.
Yeah, off-duty job.
The off-duty
Yeah,
job.
taking the work away from our local policemen.
Correct.
Yeah.
No different than the state police up
Yeah.
on 208. You never see them
That's
until there's
correct.
an off-duty job. So, but I couldn't agree with you more. Anything else, Frank?
That's all for new business.
Bruce? Dominic?
I'm okay.
Mr. Lane?
Yes, thank you.
You're
Eric,
welcome.
Going back to Central Avenue, I had spoken to you with regard to the rain and the potholes that were there because they only put gravel in them. Well, I went by there today, and there is blacktop, but there's an awful lot of stone debris on the roadway. It's not up to us to clean it, it's up to the developer to clean it, and he's supposed to clean it every single night, so it's safe for our residents driving and walking.
Okay, I will follow that up with,
Please.
with the
I mean,
development
and
of DPW.
if they're not gonna listen to us, well, there is a stop work order that we can invoke on them.
Okay,
Even though they didn't start building, it's still part of the project.
Eric, are they gonna pave the street, finish it?
they will have to restore pavement, and given how much they're ripping out, we'll have to determine what the,
Okay.
I mean, 'cause that road was not paved, I mean, it's beyond the time frame where they are specifically required to do curb to crown or curb to curb, but given the amount of what they're doing, we'll
A
have
lot of
to.
holes.
Eric, also, with the 17 road program, are there going to be a joint meeting between the engineer, our arborist, and the shade tree commission to decipher which trees on each?
We always go
Can I-
out there.
can I
with-
finish?
Okay,
Which trees on each street will need addressing?
yes. Yes,
Okay,
that's
thank
what
you.
we do, it's what we do with, we've gotten into that. I know what didn't always happen years ago, but the past several years, it's been very, that's what we do, both when they're doing the design of the project and then immediately before the start of the.
Thank you.
For the project.
That's all, John.
Okay. All right, with nothing else on the new business, then we'll turn to the administrative agenda presented by Hall of Fame Mayor, Mayor Richard Goldberg. Mayor, you're up.
Thank you, Council President. At every council meeting, I've had the privilege of addressing you, the people of our community. You hear from our CFO, our attorney, our engineer, and our administrator. We have an exceptional professional staff, and we're blessed in this community to have employees in this building, in our DPW, and in our police department who are second to none. We have a council that supports one another and that comes together always for the good of the borough. We are a team, and I am fortunate not only to be a member of this team, but as your mayor, its leader. I am so very proud of what we've accomplished. Last meeting, we adopted a budget that includes a tax increase of a mere 1.48%, the lowest tax increase in the last 20 years. We have the highest bond rating we've ever achieved, and after weathering economic downturn of 2009, we've seen an increase in our rateable base and investments in our community like never before. In the past 3.5 years, the Planning Board has approved 78 applications for new businesses. We are definitely growing. Over the past 9 years, we've introduced Hawthorne Day, which just keeps getting better and better. We've welcomed our band shell, which had a phenomenal first year and promised to have even a better year this year. We've created a 9/11 memorial, and we pay tribute 3 times a year to those Hawthornites who made the ultimate sacrifice to this nation by dedicating street corners in their memory. We're mindful of our environment and introduced a community garden and have been a certified Tree City USA for more than 25 years. And we've achieved silver certified status from Sustainable New Jersey. All of this comes at no cost to you, the taxpayer, which brings me to the point I want to make. What makes Hawthorne so great, and why I say we every time I speak of our accomplishments, is we are truly a community. From our volunteer fire department and ambulance corps, to our boards and commissions, from our youth programs to our seniors, from our church groups to our civic organizations, we are a community, a family. We work hard, we play hard, but most of all, we support one another, which makes tonight such an important, special night. Many of you have already heard that the director of the DEP has granted approval to the County of Passaic to install a synthetic turf in historic Gothelbrook Park. We stood shoulder to shoulder across our community to let the county and the state know how very much we in this community oppose this project. I have been heartened so to hear from those of you, the many of you, that have been willing to stand up and be heard. We've come together on this issue, and we will continue in our opposition. I bring for you tonight a resolution that I'm going to ask the clerk to read in a moment, to have our attorney start suit to enjoin the county from undertaking this project. I present to you, Council President, a resolution which I ask this council to adopt tonight supporting this action. Because in Hawthorne, we not only work hard and play hard, we fight hard, and this is just the beginning. Madam Clerk, if you would read the resolution.
Absolutely, thank you. Whereas the County of Passaic has proposed to install a synthetic turf field in historic Gothelbrook Park, despite a ruling from the State of New Jersey Historic Preservation Office that such would be an encroachment on the historic nature of the park. And whereas the mayor and council of the borough of Hawthorne have spoken with unanimity, in opposition to the installation of this encroachment in the community, only to have the concerns of the people of Hawthorne be ignored by their elected county freeholders. And whereas the County of Passaic, despite a ruling that the installation of a synthetic turf field would be an encroachment, and despite unanimous opposition from the mayor and council, on behalf of the citizens of Hawthorne, made application to the State of New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection for approval of this ill-considered project. And whereas the mayor and council again spoke with unanimity against this project at the State Historic Sites Council, which failed to adopt a resolution recommending the plan to the director of the Department of Environmental Protection. And whereas the director, despite a finding that the turf field represents an encroachment, despite unanimous opposition from the community leaders in Hawthorne, and despite a failure of the Historic Sites Council to endorse the plan of the County of Passaic, granted approval to the project without conducting a hearing or considering the objections of the people of Hawthorne. And whereas the failure of elected officials on the county level and appointed officials on the state level leaves the people of Hawthorne with no recourse except to turn to the courts of this state to uphold the law that has so clearly been ignored by the arbitrary, capricious, and unreasonable determination to grant approval to this project. Now therefore be it resolved by the Municipal Council of the Borough of Hawthorne that it does authorize the municipal attorney to take action to enjoin and prevent this encroachment and to preserve the historic integrity of Goffle Brook Park by filing of an action against the County of Passaic and the State of New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection.
Thank you, Lori. Mayor, this will be, or for the folks here, council, off consent agenda R94-17, and I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Made by Lane, seconded by Bennett. Any discussion?
Yes, John?
Go ahead, John.
I know Michael's not here, but we have Joanna here as our fill-in attorney. With the filing of this, can we also, or is it possible to do an injunction so we can get that on the books right away and then follow the suit? Or does it go hand in hand?
I think, John, and I hate to speak for the attorney,
But he will anyway.
this will enable our attorney to take any and all legal action to stop this project, from asking for an injunction to starting suit against the county, and if need be, to go to administrative court against the DEP. This opens up every option to us as a borough. I'm not going to discuss legal strategy on
Right, I
television
understand.
because
Correct.
it generally doesn't work out well when we do.
Yeah, no problem.
But this will authorize our borough attorney to take whatever steps are necessary to stop this project.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments?
Every time I think I've accounted for every fool in Trenton, one more pops up. So I approve of this action wholeheartedly. Let's fight them until the bitter end.
Mayor, thank you for bringing this together. I know we've had a lot of conversations about this over the last year and a half. I attended a freeholder meeting, and to be quite honest with you, I think I reported when I came back, they didn't seem too interested in what I had to say on behalf of the borough, and try to justify a bad plan and bad spending. And I think for the residents of Hawthorne on both sides of the aisle, I think we have nonpartisan support. That this is just a bad thing. They spent over $10 million to beautify the park, and it is certainly a gem in our borough. And yes, the county spent open space money to do that. That open space money is funded by all the counties, in the county. So we all have a piece of that to make that park beautiful. To put artificial grass in there would be akin to putting artificial flowers along the riverbank. It just makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And I can't help but think that there's an ulterior motive, there's political pressure, there's something else, there's enough county spaces, in the county, open spaces, there's fields in other communities that are in dire need of repair, there's dust bowls, and, to me, there's a better place to do it,
I fear it's an opening to something further to come.
Correct.
Because you build the field and you have 7 parking spaces, that's not enough.
Correct.
So there goes the play area that's next to it, that's
More
for
lights.
barrier-free
And
people.
listen, we've been
Lights, traffic,
very
garbage.
vocal about wanting to bring back the retention basin, which we all knew was the casting pond. You know, we have a terrible flooding problem. The county walked it with us with the Army Corps of Engineers, and the Army Corps of Engineers had the maps. They asked the questions on where the retention basin was, and that's in that area. You know, now they claim it's not part of the field, but it's right there. It's got to be right on top of it. I'd rather see the retention basin be created bigger, not just restored, but double the size of it to take the amount of watershed water. You know, when the casting pond was there many, many years ago, the watershed was not what it was like today. You know, we know it's increased twofold, tenfold, maybe, who knows, but, you know, I think that's a cheaper way of starting, you know, whether it's a phase 1 or phase 2, but that certainly takes some of the stress off the Wagner Road area. And now we're back into it, talking about the water running under Congress Mills onto the road and the emergencies, and now you're putting, you know, our emergency personnel's lives at risk. Now it's become a dangerous situation. So when I look at it, do you want to spend money on a turf field, or do you want to spend money on fixing a flooding problem that's creating you know, a potential danger for people traveling through there that are county or, you know, not just Hawthorne residents, a lot of residents, and our emergency service people. So to me, it's a no-brainer. It's a bad plan, wasted spending, and certainly could be done in a better place. So.
John, also to elaborate on a little bit more that you said, at the time when the casting pond was there, Wagner Road did not flood, because at the time, the above-ground retention basin or pond, the vocabulary really wasn't in place as it is today. And the pond, or the retention pond, whatever you want to call it, casting pond, really served its purpose. And the other thing, too, is I think it's very important that being a waterway, if you do anything with a waterway, you need DEP approval. And the county went ahead without DEP approval and got rid of the casting pond. So I think that's a very important item also that we have to, you know, that should be out there, that the people of our borough should know, you know, exactly what took place.
So life of the field's only about 10 years, then you gotta redo it again.
Correct.
They're gonna Walmart's going through that problem right now, they're gonna spend over $500,000 to redo the field over.
And then all the residents on May
Excuse me?
Street,
They're only warranted for 7
Oh,
years.
7 years, okay.
all the residents on May Street and along that whole avenue that basically border the park. I mean, as Dominic said and Frank said, there's something to it. Lights are going to go up, parking is going to go there, there's going to be an awful lot of traffic, and I think the mayor even made a comment and a suggestion to them, you know, if you put grass, we'll even help you with the water. And how much more can we go to help them, and just Hawthorne gets a slap in the face.
Yeah, it's got to be devastating for the south end of town if this happens. I think that, you know, too often they claim that we're not thinking about the south end of town. This is a fight in Hawthorne that will help protect and save the south end of Hawthorne. So I'm hopeful and I'm convinced that all of the residents in this town stand shoulder to shoulder with us on this fight.
There's no other discussion? We'll take a roll call.
Bennett?
Yes.
Lane?
Yes.
Matthews?
Yes.
Neely?
Yes.
Sinny?
Yes.
Russolo?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Mayor.
What truly makes tonight special, though, is we come together now to celebrate all the best things we represent. Master Sergeant Roberto Oquendo invited me to the 108th Air Wing Civil Engineering Squadron training at Tyndale Air Force Base in Florida on December 10th, 2009. I left the borough at 5:15 a.m. and drove to McGuire Air Force Base and boarded a military transport plane to Florida, where I had lunch with a Hawthorne resident, Master Sergeant Roberto Oquendo, and witnessed about 6 training exercises. Roberto informed me that he was being sent to the Middle East after Christmas. I wished him well and we promised to keep in touch. We emailed back and forth during his deployment, and in 2010, he requested that I send him a Hawthorne flag that would fly with the American flag and the state of New Jersey flag in Iraq. After a time, I stopped hearing from Roberto and made inquiries into his whereabouts, and I finally learned he had returned home. And after several attempts to reach him, he showed up in Borough Hall and apologized for not getting back to me sooner. He indicated that he was having adjustment issues and that our flag was in a duffel in his garage, and he couldn't bring himself to open the duffel up. I told him that seeing him was enough, and the fact that he was physically healthy was all that I needed. We agreed that we could wait until he was ready, and several years later, Roberto came in and said he was ready. Tonight, we celebrate Roberto and the flags that flew in Iraq. So it's my pleasure to present Master Sergeant Roberto Oquendo. Roberto? We have in 3 flag boxes in front of you the United States flag, the New Jersey flag, and the Hawthorne flag. It is our intention, you want to, I'm sorry, we need you over here so we get a picture. I always tell people the television camera's there and then Rico is there.
You want to hold one of the flags, Mayor?
Yeah, maybe we should do that.
Yeah,
You want to hold the Hawthorne flag?
Sure.
Apropos?
And actually, if I can get 2 more people down, we can hold all 3 flags. So.
Let's do this.
President, Vice President. Or President Dominic.
These are the 3 flags that flew in Iraq and were being presented to the Borough of Hawthorne as a gift and a reminder of our resident's service to his country and to his borough. And Roberto, you want to tell us where these flags flew?
Yeah, the 3 flags were flew at Sada Air Base and for 10 days in the middle of the sandstorm. And so one of the reasons I didn't want to take it out of the bag is because they have the sands and everything there, so they're originating from there, from Sada Air Base, which is with the area the military found Saddam Hussein. And that's where the prison he was, so the airport. So it was an honor for me as the mayor to send me the flag because I wanted to present to the town. It took a little longer because I was sick and I was in the hospital back and forth, but I always keep them in a safe place. And then with the flags, I bring to the mayor a couple of samples of sand and stone from one of the palace for Saddam Hussein. But the main thing I wanted is just to present to the town as a thank you. I've been a resident of Hawthorne since 2009. I bought my first house here and being so happy to belong to the community. It's a great town. It's very uplifting for me. I live in a nice, quiet area, which I like. So, and the community is really, really great around here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Roberto. It's our intention to find the proper place to hang these, and we'll have some kind of plaque memorializing what happened here tonight. But this is just an example of someone from Hawthorne who served his country and is now serving his community by this donation. So, Roberto, we thank you very much. Thank you so much. Okay. At this point, I call upon our fill-in borough attorney, Johanna Burke, for her report.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't call upon you for your report.
Okay.
Roberto, you gave something to us, and as the borough, we'd like to give something to you, so come on back. They always tell me if they give me more than one thing to do, I'll forget to do the second thing.
That's
And
where
this
the
is
camera is, Mayor.
Yeah, cameras over there. Mayor and council proclamation. Whereas Master Sergeant Roberto Oquendo Castro joined the Puerto Rican Air National Guard with the 140th Air Control Command in Punta Salinas, Puerto Rico, with a rank of Airman First Class. Thereafter, after being transferred to the New Jersey Air National Guard in 1991 with the 108th Civil Engineering Squadron at McGuire Air Force Base with the rank of Senior Airman. Whereas Roberto completed several temporary duty tours through the United States, giving support as needed to the natural disasters such as Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans and numerous floods in California. Whereas Master Sergeant was deployed 11 times to Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Kazakhstan, Afghanistan, Egypt, Qatar, Kuwait, and Iraq between 2000 and 2010 in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation New Dawn, and Operation Desert Storm. Whereas on December 10, 2009, Mayor Richard S. Goldberg traveled to Tyndale Air Force Base in Florida to visit with Hawthorne resident Sergeant Okendo while he was training and assigned to the 108th Air Wing Civil Engineering Squadron. Whereas on January 29, 2010, Master Sergeant Okendo was deployed to Sadr Air Force Base in Iraq, which is the location where Saddam Hussein was found, where he had all his principal palaces, where Master Sergeant Roberto Okendo Castro remained until April 27, 2010. Whereas after numerous emails, correspondence between the mayor and Master Sergeant Okendo, in early 2010, Master Sergeant Okendo requested a Borough of Hawthorne flag be sent to Sadr Air Force Base in Iraq. Whereas Master Sergeant Okendo proudly displayed the United States flag, the state of New Jersey flag, and the Borough of Hawthorne flag while he was stationed in Iraq, and now presents back to his community the flags that stood with him in harm's way as a sign of our strength and commitment. Whereas on September 2016, Master Sergeant Roberto Okendo Castro retired after 32 years of service with a Meritorious Service Medal and 2 Air Force Commendation Medals, attaining the rank of Master Sergeant. Whereas Master Sergeant Roberto Okendo Castro thankfully returned to the Borough of Hawthorne unharmed and continues to call this community his home. And whereas a grateful community now takes a moment to welcome Master Sergeant Roberto Okendo Castro home and thanks him for his service to our great country and our great borough. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Hawthorne, on behalf of all of its residents, that it joins and thanks Master Sergeant Roberto Okendo Castro for his service and graciously accept the flags which will proudly be displayed in the council chambers as a tribute to his dedication to this country and his community. It is signed by me and the entire council. Roberto, this is for you.
Mayor, if I will, you're talking about the flag, and I'm going to give you a tribute. You know how many folds there are in the flag when you fold the flag up?
I'm glad you asked me that question.
I'm going to tell you. There are 13 folds in the flag.
Correct.
And the reason I say that, this last week, I was at a Boys and Girls Club conference in Dallas, national conference, and I had heard on the radio down there that there was an organization that Stand for Honor,
Right.
that raises money for fallen soldiers and injured soldiers. They raise money for scholarships for their children. We had the opportunity, Irina, Conti, Chucky Henyon, and myself, to stand for 13 minutes holding an American flag to raise money for a fundraiser. They were doing Folds for Honor. They raised $1 million
great.
down in Dallas. So thank you again for all you do. The flag means an awful lot to this community. It means an awful lot to all of us. So thank you for your service, and we're here for you in the Borough of Hawthorne.
I can tell you, Council President, the American flag has 13 folds because the Master Sergeant folded that one. I can't swear how many folds the other 2 flags because we folded those in-house.
That was a bit of trivia I never knew.
There you go.
If you're a Boy Scout, you would have.
You know that.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, and
Why
now I
13?
think it's time, after giving her false hope,
Yeah, I was going to say.
to introduce our substitute borough attorney tonight, the renowned and notable Johanna Burke, to give the report of the attorney.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Master Sergeant Okendo, for your service to our country and this incredible gesture tonight. My name is Johanna Burke. Some of you know me as a mother who devotes herself to her son Aiden and brings awareness and support to those who live with autism on the autism spectrum, as well as the founder of Fight for Autism. I am also an attorney, however, and I'm happy to fill in for Michael tonight, who is attending the State Bar Association convention this week. Synthetic turf field. As you are aware, the Office of the Commissioner of the DEP granted approval to the application of the County of Passaic to install a turf field in Gophelbrook Park. As the mayor noted, no consideration was given at all to the thoughts of the people who live in this community by the county or the commissioner. On your agenda tonight is a resolution authorizing Mr. Pasquale to file suit and seek to enjoin the county from going forward with this project. It is hard to imagine that anyone would think it makes good sense to install a synthetic turf field in a historic park that has undergone such careful restoration. We will fight this fight because it is right for the people of Hawthorne. Affordable housing. Last week, a court-appointed master in Mercer County, Richard Redding, issued a report regarding the two approaches advanced to address the gap years. As you recall, the Supreme Court ruled that municipalities, in addition to addressing substandard housing in existence today and future need to 2025, also need to address the unmet housing need that COAH failed to address from 1999 to 2015. Not surprisingly, Dr. Kinsey found that need to be astronomical. The experts hired by the municipal consortium, eConsult, found a much lower number to be the correct number. Mr. Redding analyzed both reports and largely sided with the eConsult report. This matter is proceeding in Mercer, but will have statewide implications, which Mr. Pasquale will follow. Tax appeals. 2017 county tax appeals were heard yesterday in Wayne. As noted, the number of appeals was down substantially from prior years, a tribute to our stable tax base and strong housing sales. Mr. Pasquale will have a more detailed report at the next meeting. Peace and good order. After our last council meeting, Mr. Pasquale took a look at our peace and good order ordinance. He found some obvious areas that are outdated and generally date back to a bygone era. On your agenda tonight is an ordinance to repeal 6 sections. These include defacing a police or fire call box. We have pull boxes and a false alarm is still covered under the criminal code. Expectorating in public, which is gross but not really a known health hazard. Operating a carnival, which does not seem to be much of a threat these days. Using an air rifle or BB gun, which is covered under our firearms ordinance. Destroying crops or orchards, which dates back to a time when we had an orchard in town. And finally, playing ball in the street. Some good comes of most every discussion. It was good to take a look at this ordinance and weed out things that no longer belong. Last thing on my report is the band shell. Opening night is Father's Day night with Joey Ziza and friends. The schedule will include 7 concerts and 3 movies. There is one that is near and dear to me, and that is the 2nd annual Fight for Autism night, where local musicians come together and play for no charge to help raise money and awareness for this special cause. I am working with Michael and Lisa Slutmaker to make this a phenomenal event and ask everyone to mark August 13th, 7 p.m. on their calendars. And that concludes my report.
Well, do you have another event you want to talk about?
Why, yes, Your Honor, I do. I would love for all of you to join us on Sunday, June 4th at Hawthorne High School for Fight for Autism's 2nd annual walk. The walk will open at 10 a.m. There will be a bouncy obstacle course, food trucks, t-shirts, DJ, face painters, activities for kids, carnival games. It's going to be a great day, fun-filled, and if it rains, this year we'll be inside the Hawthorne Gymnasium, not like last year. So I would welcome you to join us. Any and all money fundraised at this walk for Fight for Autism will be given back to local families to help them pay for respite care, therapies, medical bills, anything that their children or adults need. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. Next, fresh off of milk carton because he's been gone for so long, our borough engineer, Steve Boswell.
Thank you, Your Honor. Band shell bathrooms, the borough has selected to use 3 single-stall bathrooms and to locate it we're talking about Little Franklin Field on the south side of the band shell next to the treatment building. We're finalizing with the architect now the specs and the bids, and we'll have a revised cost to make sure that it's all under. Are you, a question, Frank?
No, it's complimenting Eric on a good decision.
Oh, okay.
I was going to compliment you too, Steve, when you were done, so.
Oh, thank you, John.
Not now, but now, yeah.
DBW building, we're reviewing the bids. We did receive bids. You have something in front of you. There's 3 of the 6 bidders do not understand properly the English language. So their bids, when properly calculated, come in at $39 million. Because, I'm not kidding you, because the law says that words govern over numbers, so they took the unit price and they took the extension cost, and then they wrote the extension cost in words under the unit price. So under the law, you have to now multiply the unit price times the units, and the bids are literally $39 million. What you have in front of you, though, is what they would have been had they done it properly. But we're talking with the attorney, and we're going to make a decision. We're still evaluating where we're going to go with that. 2016 road program, the ADA ramps at McKinley are complete. The streetscape project, the electrical contractor has 2 crews working. Crew 1 finished the conduit on Lafayette Ave, except for 1 light pole foundation on the northeast corner of Lafayette and Diamond Bridge. Junction boxes are being installed, and the contractor will continue to install all the foundations along Lafayette for the decorative signposts, of which there are 28, and the movie theater parking lot apron. A second crew started this week on Diamond Bridge, curb and sidewalk, forming and pouring on the southern side of Diamond Bridge. About 3/4 of that work is done. Tomorrow, they're going to spot pour and stamp the southeast corner. And I'd like all of you to ride by and tell us what you think of the color and the pattern, because this will be our final determination. I'm sorry?
We picked it out the other day.
But you did pick it out, but I want you to see it finished, and just make sure you're, okay? I still want you to like it. Yeah, I just want to make sure, because sometimes when it's finished, it looks a little different than what you see. For the rest of Thursday and Friday, crew 2 will start the curb and sidewalk work on the north side of Diamond Bridge. The goal is to have all sidewalk work done prior to the Friday before Memorial Day weekend, obviously. The Wagler Road pump station, the improvements were installed. These are the safety ladders and the cages by MJP Welding, and I can show you pictures of it. It came out very well, and everybody's happy with the result. Rock Road improvements, the contractor for cleanup plans to start the project simultaneously with the 2017 road program. Should start right after the Memorial Day weekend. The water storage tank, we'll have the plans and specs done. As you know, you've just brought the ordinance in today, so the money's not yet available, but the plans and specs will be ready when the money's available to do that.
So you're working on spec?
Yeah. I guess I will be doing the specs on specs, as usual. That's why I have to come to the meeting, because I won't let anybody else do that. We've already talked about the soccer field and the meeting Michael went to. The GPS and GIS stuff, we're going to be complete. We just have to put in some of the service connections for the water department, and that'll all be done. The municipal complex message board, they're planning to install the message board sign on June 28th. The electrical information we forwarded to Eric, who's forwarded to Post and Kelly, because as you know, we made a decision, rather than paying this contractor an add-on to the electrician's cost, we'll just do that directly with the electrician and do that much cheaper. 2017 road program, we did have the pre-con meeting on Thursday, last Thursday, the 11th, and again, it's going to start right after Memorial Day. Tax map updates are nearly complete. 84 Buena Vista, the concrete spatter has been handled, and the resident is happy with the result. 125 Maitland, you know we're going to handle that as part of the 2017 road program. There was a question at the last meeting why the bids were so divergent in the water system emergency repair contract. It was an interpretation by the one high bidder that was incorrect. I also think the high bidder had more work than the low bidder, so I think that has a lot to do with it too, but we're comfortable with the low bidder. The air permits, We did receive these air permits for the emergency generators. We received the certificate of conformity for both the 30 kW and the 80 kW Kohler generators, and we should have everything done shortly on that. 110 Hawthorne Avenue sidewalk, we've met with the contractor. It will be corrected, and it's still under the maintenance bond, no cost to the borough. And finally, 72 Parmley Avenue, the handicap ramp is part of the punch list, and it'll also be repaired. And on that, Mayor, I'll answer any questions, anyone.
Thank you, Steve. Before I go to Eric, I always like to report something that he may be reporting about, so it makes his report a little shorter. Just a reminder, on Monday, May 29th, which is Memorial Day, we will have a service in front of Borough Hall here at noontime, followed by our parade, which kicks off at 1 o'clock. It's a great way to pay tribute to those who paid the ultimate price, a way to reconnect with Hawthornites. This year's Grand Marshal is Paul Krasinski of Paul's Motors, and that's a great honor for Paul, and I congratulate and salute him. So, Erica, if you were going to report on that, you don't have to, and if you didn't, shame on you for not reporting on that. But Borough Administrator Eric Moore.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to offer my best wishes to John Bonanno, who retires June 1st after serving the past year and a half as our construction official and a total of 15 years as our fire subcode official. Our number one candidate for the construction official's position withdrew, which is the reason for canceling the closed session tonight intended for an interview. I'm now making an offer to candidate number 2 with the intention of having him interviewed by council for advice and consent at a special meeting tentatively scheduled for May 31st. In case there's a delay in starting, I'm working on plans for interim coverage so the office can continue on. Speaking of the construction office, Spatial Data Logic, the vendor for our new construction office software, will be conducting staff training next week. We plan to go live on 6/1 with the new software. Recognizing our loss control efforts, the Morris County Joint Insurance Fund, of which we're a member, gave the borough a safety award, which comes with a $400 gift certificate for safety supplies for the borough. The JIF also recently conducted a safety and loss control inspection of the borough's facilities. There are only 2 very minor suggestions for improvement, which we are addressing. Participation in the JIF and their safety programs saves the borough significant money in our insurance. The PBA is filed for arbitration on the grievance denied by the council on April 5th regarding payment to a retiree for accumulated Garcia time. We are in the process of arbitrator selection. The Proposal Review Committee is hard at work reviewing the proposals received for computer support services under our competitive contracting process. References have been checked and scoring is underway. I expect to be able to make an award in June for a contract beginning July 1st. I'm working with DPW to prepare specifications for the dump truck being funded by Bond Ordinance 2187, which was voted on tonight. I'm also looking at the possibility of purchasing this truck through a national co-op called National Joint Powers Alliance, which has 32,000 members nationwide, including over 1,000 governmental units in New Jersey. Whether or not we end up using the NJPA for purchase of this truck, I will recommend joining this co-op due to the opportunities it offers, and I will be presenting a resolution on that next month. And finally, pool preparation is coming along for opening on Memorial Day weekend, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Eric, and I will say, if you have not yet met our pool manager, there's a new sheriff in town. I think our patrons are going to have a good summer, and I think Mr. Berger has a good feel for what he wants to do with this pool, so.
That's not the Mr. Berger that came to our last.
No.
That's not Mr.
No
Berger.
relative, no relative.
This Mr. Berger will allow playing at the pool area, so it
You
should
can
be.
play basketball too, I think, Mayor, right?
Council President, we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you,
that the council may
Mayor.
have.
Gary?
I have nothing.
Frank?
No.
Bruce?
No, I think everything was clear.
Dominic?
No, thank you.
John?
I have a couple things, yes, thank you.
That was so cool.
What a shot.
Sorry about that. Steve, first of all, thank you for getting back to me. I was the one who asked the questions about the discrepancy as far as the prices were concerned on that. Eric, just a question. I understand we canceled the interview for tonight, but do you think it might be feasible if the council has the opportunity at the same night to interview candidate number 2 and 3? in case for some reason candidate 2 the council doesn't pick and we go to candidate 3, whoever that might be?
Well, technically.
You don't have to answer it, I'll let you think about it.
Okay, thank you.
I don't think Eric has a candidate three. I think that's the problem.
The other question that I have with regard to that coalition that you were talking about, what about the Galveston-Houston deal that we had as far as like fire trucks and stuff like
Yeah,
that?
we will look at that as well. I don't think that they have what we're looking for in this case, but we will, before we use any co-op, we will look at Morris County Co-op that we belong to, the State Cooperative Purchasing, Houston Galveston, and the NJPA. We'll look at, in any purchase, our intention will be to look at everything to see where we can get the best deal.
Okay.
You know, I mean, but we have to be a member to be able to look at that. That's why I want to join that co-op so we can at least, and it's no cost to join. I want to join it so we have that option for comparison.
Okay. And just a follow-up, and I don't know whether it's basically to you or to Steve, with regard to the question that I had about the generators, as far as the 80 kW and the 30 kW
That
with
is really
regard
an
to...
operational thing rather than, but I've asked the Public Works Director to give me a written procedure. I can have the engineer take a look at it just to see whether it's, he sees he makes any suggestions. But yes, we are following through on that.
Basically, Steve, my question was to have him run weekly or bi-weekly for...
Here's the exercise for an hour a week. That's standard.
An hour a week?
An hour a week is standard exercise of a generator.
So,
I don't know what, Bob and I haven't talked about
yeah,
it.
well, we will definitely, we'll put something
This
together
way-
and run it by the engineer for his comments.
That's fine, thank you. 'cause
I actually think that an hour every 2 weeks is probably adequate.
an hour every 2 weeks to me is fine.
Yeah, I mean,
You
an
know,
hour a week is
it's a
a
lot.
lot.
It's a
Yeah,
lot.
so-
It doesn't violate our anti-idling laws, does it?
No, it's not idling, it's actually on. So, yeah, I'd probably recommend in this case, an hour every 2 weeks is fine.
Okay. That's all I have, John.
Okay.
Thank you.
If there's nothing else with the administration, I'll entertain a motion
So moved.
Second.
made by Lane, seconded by Sitting. Roll call, please.
All in favor?
Oh, yes.
No, I'm sorry, what? That's mine, huh? I was giving you a little extra good time. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Ordinance number 2189-17 for introduction. An ordinance to further amend and supplement the code of the Borough of Hawthorne, Chapter 357, Peace and Good Order, Section 357-2, Prohibited Acts by repealing certain subsections thereunder. Be it resolved that ordinance number 2189-17 does now pass a first reading, and that said ordinance be further considered for final passage at a meeting of the governing body in the municipal building 445 Lafayette Avenue, Hawthorne, New Jersey, on June 7th, 2017, at 7 p.m., at 7:30 p.m., at which time and place all persons interested will be given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same, and the clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish said ordinance in the Hawthorne Press once and posted on the borough website at least 1 week prior to said hearing, with a notice of its introduction at the time and place when and where said ordinance would be considered for final passage. I'll entertain a motion. Made by Bennett, seconded by Mealy. Any discussion? Roll call.
Bennett?
Yes.
Lane?
Yes.
Matthews?
Yes.
Neely?
Yes.
Sidney?
Yes.
Rutola?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Resolutions, consent agenda 8817 through R9317. R8817, Borough of Hawthorne payroll dated May 12, 2017. R8917, payment of 2012 refunding bonds. R9017, payment of school taxes. R9117, payment of county taxes. R9217, payment of Memorial Day parade bands. R9317, interfund transfer. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Made by Mealy.
Second.
Second by Sinning. Any discussion?
Well, we know we're not getting anything for our money on 9117, but I don't think there's much we can do about it.
Not much. With nothing, a roll call.
Sidney?
Yes.
Mealy?
Yes.
Matthews?
No on 9117, yes on the others.
Lane?
No on 9117, yes on all others.
Bennett?
Yes.
Rutola?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you for counting noses when you voted for this.
I was close. I wasn't
Listen.
expecting that.
It's a good gesture to do that, but unfortunately, we have to pay the taxes.
Yes.
I've been doing it for the last 5 quarters.
Yeah, I know. We'd all like to do it, but
So do it.
you gotta pay the county your taxes. We can't go in default, so,
That would not be good for our bond rating.
no. All right, reports of special council committees. Gary?
I have nothing.
Frank?
Last night, at the planning board, the Royal Ave application took a strange turn. It may be transferred to the zoning board once again. There was an objector for the residents, an attorney that was questioning whether it's a use variance, and thus required to be put before the zoning board. However, use variances were based on number of units, and according to Cox, which is a land use Bible, number of units does not matter as to the number of bedrooms in a unit. It strictly goes by number of units. But our local code says that we can only have a certain percentage of 2-bedroom apartments, and they were exceeding that by more than just a couple, a large percent. So their attorney was making the argument it's an increase in density issue, thus requiring a variance. Both the zoning board attorney and the planning board attorney and our municipal engineer emphatically disagreed, but the applicant's attorney basically said, if you get approvals through the planning board, if you hear it here, I will tie it up in court for a year. After you get your approvals, he felt it should go before the zoning board, so the applicant's attorney felt to save a year of his life and a lot of money for the applicant, they'll go before the zoning board. There's no guarantee the zoning board is going to accept them, because they basically sent them to the planning board the first time, said you don't belong here. But that would take away the argument from the objector's attorney that it should be in front of them. So if they do get approvals down at that board, well, his argument was that, not that it was a bad application necessarily, but you were in front of the wrong board.
Right. Okay.
So, we're available.
Bruce?
Yes, Public Works Committee met on Monday, and most of the things have been covered. As you see, we have the bond ordinances for the refurbishment of the Goffel Hill water tank and the dump truck and brine system on the agenda tonight. They've already been taken action on. And the only other item of major interest are that the wells, Maitland well and well number 8 are both out. They're being repaired under a new contract with Longo. And the repairs on the Goffel Hill well are still proceeding under the pre-contract PO with Precision. So we've got some problems there due to age, but we're getting them sorted out.
Dominic?
I had the privilege of attending Aurora graduation yesterday with Mayor Goldberg. I want to congratulate, I can't say congratulate, I want to just recommend, not recommend either, just acknowledge that Detective DeFuro and Robertson did an excellent job. The children get a different look of our police department now that they see them in action. It takes the police department to a new level, that's what it does. And I also want to congratulate Mrs. Lewis from St. Anthony's School for being selected as Teacher of the Year by the VFW. That's it. Thank you.
John?
No, that's it.
I'll take a moment and congratulate the culmination of our Junior Police Academy last Wednesday. The mayor was there in my absence. I was not there. John Magna filled in for me, but I believe that's our 21st or 22nd
I think
year.
you're talking roughly 20 years.
Yeah, it's over 20 years, and you know, Bobby King, Jimmy Nepper started it, Nick Roberts and Detective DeFury are involved, but it's a great effort by all the police department, get involved in different portions of it, and the numbers are up around 100 kids again. They do some great activities, and I guess 2 of the favorites are visiting the jail, Passaic County Jail, for a little reality check, and knock on wood, they've all come back every year. We haven't lost anybody. And I think the culmination of being able to go to the pistol range or the gun range and learn firearm safety and get to fire a gun is another exciting event for them to do. And knock on wood, they've all gone home. So, but it's a great program. It's a great partnership between the police department, the Borough of Hawthorne Municipal Alliance, and the Boys and Girls Club. So we'll continue to do good things and move this town forward.
I
So,
think they said the food was better under Sheriff Englehart than Sheriff Burton.
yeah, the apple turnovers.
Yep.
John, what's the summer program?
With the spork?
What's the summer program?
Leadership camp it will be in August.
Camp is in August.
Third week in
The
August.
third week of
No,
August.
Always
the
the
Chamber
third
of
week in
Commerce
August.
went many years ago.
Okay. All right, we have no correspondence, but we have bills. Motion to approve the bills and forward to the treasurer for payment.
So moved.
Second?
Made by Mealy, seconded by Sinning. Any discussion? Roll call.
Bennett?
Yes.
Lane?
Abstain on the fire department and the ambulance corps, yes on all others.
Neely?
Yes, and all.
I'm sorry. Matthews?
Yes.
Sinning?
Yes.
Ruttolo?
Abstain on down street service, yes on all others. Public comment. Motion, sorry, Laura. Public comment. I'm now opening the meeting to the public. If anyone desires to be heard, please raise your hand to be recognized. Come forward to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Ma'am, this is your last chance. Seeing no one, I entertain a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
So moved.
Made by Neely, seconded by Lane. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Before I adjourn, just a little housekeeping for those at home who keep score. May 31st, Wednesday, May 31st at 6:30 is a special meeting, strictly it'll be private session for an interview, but then we'll come into public session if anybody wants to be around for a few minutes.
It won't be
But the-
televised, though.
What's that?
That one
It will not be televised. The next two meetings, though, are important changes. Our next meeting is June 7th. That's Youth and Government Night, which is always a great night that our high school students come and learn about the government. That will be a 7:30 start to give us a little more time to brief them on what the program is and that sort of thing. And then our June 21st meeting is being moved to Monday, June 19th at 7 o'clock, and that's to accommodate the high school graduation that evening, so not to have a conflict with our community. So with that said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Made by Lane, seconded by
Second.
Sinning. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next special meeting is May 31st, 6:30. Next regular meeting in municipal council is Youth and Government Night, Wednesday, June 7th at 7:30 PM. We are adjourned.